The initial goals of the lawsuit was for the Board of Education to recognize that you were educating white children and black children in a different way. During those years, they were building schools almost next to each other to keep the containment. They're just building. So the education atmosphere was still white and black, east and west, and we wanted to do something about it. So I had a group of friends, and I got them involved in the education committee of the NAACP. And we went to Paul Briggs with our plan. The meetings were not combative, they were not a big fuss, we were laying it out in a very professional way. So he said, I'll present it to the board. I'll present it to the board. This kept going on, when are you going to present it to the board? When are you going to present it to the board? When are you going to present it to the board? This went on and on. Well, in the meantime, the NAACP board itself was not all on board. You had your old-liners in there. People have been on the board for years and years. They, of course, did not want to rock the boat. Then you had the newer group, and we were very passionate about it. And so we got down to it, and so finally they said, would you go to Paul Briggs one more time and see if the board would at least look at it. We just want him to talk about it. We wanted to put it out on the table. And so once again, we put the spiel on the table of the plan and what it would do, and you bring it up to the Board of Education and so forth. Well, the whole time I was talking, they never would look at me. I'm talking and they're looking off to the side. And not only did I find that unsettling, but fairly rude. I'm talking to you this way, you're looking the other way. So after we all made a passionate plea of what this would do for Cleveland, and of course we threw it in there that we don't want busing, we don't da-da-da-da-da. Frank Joseph slowly turned his head around. He looked at me, young man. Of course, when you're the age we were, the worst thing an older person can do is say to you, young man, because you know immediately that they're patting you down. Said, young man, you don't have the balls to file a suit against the Cleveland Board of Education. Turned his head back. Well, that almost solved it right there, but it didn't. That night, Paul Briggs was to present it to the Board of Education. And of course, we all piled over there, and the meeting went on and on and on. Paul talked about this, he talked about that, talked about this. In the superintendent's report. Said, is there anything else to come before us tonight? Said, no, the meeting is adjourned. So that solved it. So we went back to the board, and the arguments were fierce because many of the schools that had been built side by side and so forth, they had black principals. They had black principals and vice principals and so forth. And naturally, when these closed up, administrators had to go back in this classroom. So they weren't happy with us at all. And so we got ready to have the final vote. Are we going to file the desegregation suit or not? And we had the vote, and it was a tie. And when it was a tie, someone beckoned me, and they said, your father is on the line. Well, they had called my dad while all this was going on. And so he called me, and he was to tell me to vote not to let the desegregation case go. So I picked up the phone, and my father said, Junior, they tell me it's hot in there. I said, it's very hot. He said, God bless you, and hung up. So I said, he and Roy Wilkins were together. So I was into him. So I knew what that meant. The Lord lead you. So I went back in and, of course, broke the tie. And we were off to the races.